Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to episode 3 of Beyond the Cowl.
Yeah, issue number 3, if
I
you will, for you book collectors.
We should just start calling these issue number 3 instead of episode number 3.
Yeah, it just makes a little bit more sense. But hey, episode, issue, whatever. If you're watching, you're watching.
I like that the most. I'm actually gonna write a note, do that when I start actually titling our videos. I'm gonna do issue number 3, issue number 1. Like, if you like that first appearance of this guest is issue number whatever, that would just be super funny to like mention that when we like describe things to people.
Yeah, and then when it starts going sideways, we'll do a reboot and we'll do volume 2, issue 1 all over again.
Right, when we decide that we want to change a different name, it's the same podcast but in a different universe. So we now expand the multiverse of the Beyond podcast. So there's different versions of us talking about the same content but in different media outlets.
Yeah, man, just get it going, bro.
That's issue 3, and we're talking about multi-universes.
Already getting into it, man. Speaking, let's see. So speaking of that, I know we discussed read the Three Jokers recently. Did you want to hop right into that, or did you want to go a different route first?
So did you finish the Naomi series?
Yeah, I finished. So I finished the 6 issues just because I wanted to catch up on, what was going on, and try to get a little bit more information on the CW series
Mm-hmm.
and kind of dive into the character a little bit. And I read, so for those of you who don't know, we talked about this, I think, in our last podcast about Naomi, a fairly new character coming to the CW. And she has her own 6 issue series, and then she hops into other books like Action Comics, Superman, um, and she has appearances in Young Justice and Justice League. But I kind of dove into her 6 issues, you know. Um,
Well, let's start with
and
let's start with that because I don't know anything about Naomi. I was going to wait for you to describe to me and anyone who's listening who hasn't had a chance to read the 6 issues. Everyone knows who Batman is. Everyone knows who Joker is. So we can start off with Naomi, and then we'll just move on to and talk about the 3 Jokers because wow, I finished those tonight. Super good.
yeah, man, I can't wait to talk about those ones too. But yeah, for like I said, for those of you who don't know, Naomi's a fairly new character. She came out in 2019, so super new, and she's already getting her own TV show, which is kind of amazing because there's not really a whole lot of content and stories about her, which kind of leaves it open ended for CW to kind of do what they want with the character. And that's kind of what I got from, like, after reading it. I was like, well, there's still a lot of unknowns, as far as rogues gallery of her villains or anything like that, because she's so relatively new. Like I said, she came out in 2019, 6 issue series. Um, she's written by Brian Michael Bendis, which is also the creator of Miles Morales. So, he kind of has a track record too of bringing characters to, either the big screen or TV. And the books are drawn by David Walker. I'm sorry, also written by David Walker with art by Jamal Campbell. And for those of you who don't know, the CW show, Ava DuVernay is attached to write and executive produce on the show, along with former writer and executive producer of Arrow, Jill Blankenship. So for those of you who watched the Arrow series and kind of like that, for me, some of the series on the CW, some of them are kind of cheesy. I like The Flash. I liked Arrow. Have you seen any of those shows?
So Arrowverse, I got up to season 4, and then I stopped watching after season 4. Not because not because I was disinterested. I love Green Arrow, but I don't know why I just didn't go back to it. I felt like the pace got a little slow. So I stopped watching it after
Yeah,
season 4. Obviously because my costume for cosplaying for Arrow is usually the season 4 suit, with like the cut off sleeves, and he has like the gauntlets.
right.
So that's usually what I do my
Nice, man.
that's what I do my cosplay on. But no, I stopped. The Flash, I watched all of season 1. And after that, I didn't watch
Yeah,
it because I was like in the process of moving, and then it wasn't coming out as fast on Hulu. So then I was like, okay, like I'll just watch it eventually, and then all the Flash, like the Legends of Tomorrow, the Flash Arrowverse merging together, and it became so much content that I was like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to catch up. Like I have to watch Flash, jump to Green Arrow, jump to Legends of Tomorrow, just to understand, and then Supergirl. So I have to watch 4 shows at one time to understand what is going on in this giant universe.
Yeah, now you're gonna be having to watch a little bit more now because they're coming out with new shows. But like I said, I like the Flash. It was still just a little bit cheesy for me. I like more kind of like realistic
Mm-hmm.
shows. But hey, you did all right. So I watched a couple seasons of that. But if you don't know Ava DuVernay, her body of work includes I don't know if you've seen When They See Us on Netflix. That one, I seen that one. I thought it was a really good um, series. And then A Wrinkle in Time, Queen Sugar, Selma, and the list goes on. So those are just a couple of things that she's produced and directed. Um, and getting right into issue 1 of Naomi, this is the first appearance of Naomi in comic books. So issue 1 is going to be probably what the market's kind of moving towards
Mm-hmm.
as far as like pricing and key issue. There's
Right.
also other couple issues that you can still get. Like I told you, I sent you a picture of, I just picked up issue number 5 because I thought it was super important because issue 5 is actually the first issue you're seeing in full costume.
Oh,
And
okay. So
yeah,
issue
and
number
you get,
5 is full costume. Now, do you think this is like the costume that you think they're gonna do in the CW show, or you think they're gonna try to do like an alternative version of it?
I think they're gonna stick with the costume. It's kind of hard to say, but that's the only costume she's ever appeared wearing. So I got to imagine they're gonna use that costume with the show as well. So I think you can still find copies of issue number 5 out there. I did just yesterday and
Now,
was
is her costume like the cover?
yeah. Her if you
I'm
if
actually
you
I'm
don't
actually
know,
a new feature of the podcast I just did is ba bam. Now we can see the internet right here on the podcast. Right now I'm on DC. I'm looking at issue number 5 right now. I'm looking at the cover. Wow.
nice, yeah. That's gonna be her in full costume. And actually in issue number 5 they kind of explain like how her race got the powers that they got, that they have. And I'll kind of dive into that in a little bit. But I mean, issue 1 kind of opens up with an introduction of all of a sudden this town that seemingly nothing happens, they see Superman fighting in the air. And the series opens up with townspeople just talking about seeing Superman fighting in the sky in a town where like nothing happens, like I said. Naomi seems to miss the sighting, and we kind of find out the town's name because she's looking to find out information about you know if she can find footage of the fight. And we learn the town's name, which is going to be Port Oswego, and I guess that's in Oregon.
Oh, okay, so she's in Oregon.
Yeah, so it's the comic book is based in Oregon.
Oh, wow.
Um, yeah, so you know after that, Superman comes back and helps the town kind of clean up, and she misses that again. So she's super intrigued and obsessed with Superman.
Mhm.
In this first issue is kind of what you get at, and from there we kind of hop into her hanging out with friends, and we get a mention of a Dave the Butcher. I'm not sure if that's going to be maybe a future villain that we haven't seen yet, but we get a mention of a Dave the Butcher. Um, and then we go into conversation throwback. They kind of throw out like in the conversation, like I think they referenced the new 52 because the text goes like maybe 52 more important things happened yesterday when they're trying to figure out the events which led up to Superman. So
Mhm.
because they're looking in the papers and they're like, well, it's not in there. Well, maybe 52 things more important happened yesterday. I thought that was a cool little reference. I'm pretty sure it's referring to the new 52,
Mhm.
uh, but which I thought was cool.
Little Easter egg
And then
for you first time readers.
yeah, man. So that is cool, important to mention. And then from there, we get introduced to a character named D. He's like a massive tattooed looking dude.
Mhm.
Um, Naomi tries to find out more about like her past and about supposedly there's another event that took place that some of the townspeople remember, but it happened when they were so young that the generation that Naomi grew up in doesn't remember. So she tries to go out and seek out, what happened prior to this time Superman came around. And so
Mhm.
she goes to a guy named D, which is a big dude. And then that's kind of where the series ends for the first issue. So not quite a lot happens in that first issue. You just kind of get introduced to, who Naomi is, and her you really get a really strong, like, strong feeling of, she's super curious about who she is, and she's trying to find out answers.
Right.
So
It kind of sparks her interest of figuring out her own origin. Kind of like a lot
right.
like, it's kind of a lot like when Superman kind of goes into space to figure out more about Krypton.
Yeah, exactly. So that issue, I think Brian Michael Bendis is just setting it up to, like, okay, we're gonna eventually find out she's super curious about who she is, um, and where she comes from, because you find out later she's adopted. And issue 2 picks up with Naomi in conversation with the person that she talks to, that she's trying to find out more information about. In this issue number 2, we get introduced to her parents, which their names are Greg and Jen. So
Greg and
issue
Jen.
2, you get, yeah, Greg and Jen. So issue 2, there's an introduction to her parents, which kind of somewhat makes it important, but we'll see, because, like I said, there's not a whole lot of content for 6 issues to run off the character.
Hmm.
So I'm assuming they'll be showing up in the show as well. Um, so issue 2, and then, yeah, she, with her intrigue, she continues to push D to find out exactly who he is, because she's interested in him, because she kind of finds out that he mentions that he knows what happened in the beginning, and who she was, and she was adopted at the day that event actually happened, prior, if that makes sense. So
Wait, who said
moving
this? Who
forward,
who told Naomi this?
so D, so she goes
Oh,
to, in the first issue, yeah, she goes to the character named D, to try and find out more answers, to kind of push. She wants to find out what happened the first time around, when that first big event happened. So, and D kind of sparks her interest, because he throws something out there mentioning that he knew when she was the day that she was adopted. So she's like, "How do you know when I was
hmm.
adopted or whatnot?" So that's kind of the whole issue, kind of revolves around that relationship between her and D, and her trying to find out
More about herself.
more. Yeah. So, and then in issue 3, so let's see, the story moves on. Superman Naomi begins. Um, and then let's see.
So far, it's like they're following the same like basic, setup for teens where they find that one person who knows more than they lead on, and it makes that teen hero to be like, I need to know where I'm from or what I've been doing.
Right, exactly. And that's kind of like, I can see it being a CW show.
Yeah.
Um, so, and then issue 3, it opens up when Naomi getting in conversation still with D. And we learn D is not, she kind of finds a picture in the end of issue 1 where it looks like D and someone appearing to be who looks like her, which is, it kind of leads you to believe that D and whoever the girl in the picture was were her mother and her father.
Hmm.
But we kind of, so the issue 2, you find that out, you can see that picture, and then she kind of, it opens up in a conversation with D, and explaining D's not her father. He's explained to her he's not her father, and then reveals that he's Thanagarian, actually. So he reveals to Naomi in issue 3 that he's Thanagarian, part of the most elite secret forces in Thanagar, uh, in Thanagarian command under a character named Quayella.
Wayella. So is this like
Yeah.
is this like a space police, or is this like a space like?
No, it's so Thanagarians are like the race of the Hawkman people.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
even know that.
so we we just come to find out that D is Thanagarian, so he's not even from Earth. Um, you know, and after, I guess, a failed mission, they ran to Gem World. So him, D, and Coelho, they end up running into Gem World, and you kind of see that in the issue. They get stranded in Gem World, and they learn of a hidden door in the basement of the Dark Lord's fortress, which we come to find out a passageway, which is we come to find out is a passageway which landed D on Earth, as we see both Commander and D jump through a beam. As we see D and the Commander jump through, a beam comes through the passageway, striking Coelho, which is the Commander, leaving her appearing to be dead on Gemworld. So when they actually find that passageway, D and the Commander jump through that passageway. But as they're going through, you kind of see Quayola, what appears to be dead, because she gets hit with some kind of beam of light before they jump through, and he gets stranded here on Earth, going through that passageway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's kind of where issue 3 leads off. Yeah, and then you get in issue 4, you get the reveal where her parents actually take her to a spaceship.
Oh my
Um,
god, this sounds super familiar.
yeah, man. So uh, we actually learn in issue number 4 that Greg, which is her father, was a soldier from a planet named Ran, in which he fought in a Ran Thanagarian war alongside Adam Strange. So he was actually sent to Earth to track missing Thanagarian Black Guard assassin. At which point he finds D, which is Thanagarian, which is the person he's looking for.
Right.
But while on Earth, he meets Jen, which is the mother,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and decides to abandon the mission.
Fall in love.
Yeah, of course. So, that's always how it happens, I guess, right?
Right.
And
Us humans, man, we're like super like aliens can't resist us. That's why I'm not afraid of an alien attack. They're gonna come down and they're gonna see a couple little cuties doing a comic podcast, and they're gonna be like, you know what? Let's not vaporize this world. Instead, let's just give up everything and just make a life here on Earth.
yeah, man. So, that's you kind of get an issue 4, that kind of reveal of how, Greg, the father, ended up here on Earth, and that he's not even from Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think that's the most you get that out of issue number 4. And then, like I said, in issue number 5, you get the full reveal of Naomi in the costume.
Now, did she get her
Uh,
costume from the ship?
yeah, so actually, when they go and show her the ship, they actually show her. There's a device underneath the seat in the ship. It's like it looks like a little black box,
Mm-hmm.
and they actually tell her that this was given to them, um, because they're not her real parents. You come to
Right.
find out, she's adopted. So this was given to them by her birth, what they think is her birth mother, because in later issues you kind of find out, like, actually no, in issue 4 you actually find out, it's revealed that um, how Naomi actually got to Earth, and she came as a baby. So
Of course.
yeah, so she actually, let me see where I can find it on my notes. A portal into the blank.
I don't know why
Yes,
I don't know why I just don't look up the comic right now for us to look at.
yeah, man. That the art's actually really good, man. And so let's see. Gosh, let me get this.
So
Yeah,
she
so
gets
actually, go ahead.
no. I was gonna say. So she basically finds out that how she gets to Earth, and she gets her basically her costume from her ship. So this is very very similar to like how Superman gets to Earth, finds Martha, and what was Superman's dad's name?
Uh, it wasn't it?
I don't remember what his name was. It's
Oh, right
I just know the last name Kent.
yeah, I can't.
And I'm gonna look
Shoot.
it up. I'm gonna look it up. I swear we're comic book fans. I know his real father's name, Jarrell, but his Earth
Yeah.
father.
Um.
I gotta put Earth father because I put father and Google gave me Jarrell and it's like
Jonathan Kent, right? No, no, that's his son.
No, it's I'll look it up right now.
Yeah,
Jonathan Kent. Jonathan Kent. God, that's so terrible.
yeah.
Jonathan Kent is his name.
Yeah, so obviously we're not huge Superman fans, but bigger Batman fans. um, but yeah, so in issue 4, it's revealed that a lady comes across with a baby with a small device. At which point she's killed while Dee and Greg fend off the beings as Greg agrees to care for the child. So she's there's a portal that opens up. She's getting chased out by what it looks like another army. So she
Mm-hmm.
gets chased out of that portal and she dies, leaving Dee and Greg with the baby, which is Naomi, with a little black device nestled up with her. So that device is given to her in issue 4, and she actually, when she touches the device, and the issue ends with her, opening up, putting the device in her hands, and you see a big flash, like right in front of her face. And what ends up happening is that little black box gets absorbed into her body. So with that, you kind of see her get her powers, which we don't even know yet. And then
Yeah.
issue 5, yeah, and then issue 5, that's where it picks up, where you see her get her powers, and she goes to full costume once that little black box is absorbed in her hand.
Yeah, the first page for issue 5 is that little black box with like a moon crest almost lighting up, right?
Right, right.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
right. I'm
exactly.
I'm right now. I'm going through the comic real quick, just kind of flashing through it, showing some of the art style. I like this art style.
Yeah, man. I thought it was super interesting, and it keeps you like when you're reading it, it keeps you really engaged. I think that's what I like a lot about books. You have to have good art because it keeps you engaged with the story. You know, I can probably read a really bad story as long as it doesn't
Yeah,
have bad art.
I just love this little
You know,
section
it's
where she's like, just watch, and she slaps her hand, and then she gets all like super serious. Like you see the level of excitement, but then you
yeah,
see the level of seriousness, and that's something I've always really found fun with like kid characters with powers. It's just like this, like to them, like in the beginning, it's a toy. Like Shazam, when Shazam finally learns that he's Shazam, it's like a toy to him. He's a full size superhero, but with the mentality of a child.
yeah, man. I think that's the most fun part because you have like, I one of my favorite series was actually the Super Sons, and it's just about Damien and Jonathan Kent, being
Yeah.
superheroes, and it was just so fun. The story was like so light; it wasn't dark. It's just like it's just a cool story, man, because it doesn't have a lot of darkness in it. So that was one of my favorite, I think, series um, in the past couple of years. But moving back to issue 5, so like I said, as she puts that device device in her hand, it dissolves into her body and she absorbs it. So when she absorbs it, she actually hears a voice in her head, and come to find out, it's her mother after the device is dissolved inside of her. So she dissolves the device, and she starts hearing a mother in her head. And the mother explains of a crisis on the planet, which came from neglect of the planet, bringing about radiation. And you learn in issue 5 that radiation gave 29 different people access to their natural gifts, which were godlike powers. 14 were killed battling each other by the end of the month, and then 7 left the planet, and 8 stayed, um, where there was a truce that was formed between those 8. So that's issue 5. Like I said, that I think that's going to be one of the more important issues, and it's still available.
Mm-hmm. Well, I
So
mean, I'm reading it
you
right
learn.
now, and it's like she's like breaking everything down, and I love Dee's line, shoulder pads.
Yeah, man. Hey, you gotta love the shoulder pads, bro. It's kind of a throwback to old school costumes.
I just like it because it just shows like it kind of gives like that level of like, well, one, like protection, but then it also kind of gives you like her like that feel of just like this chick's a badass. Do not mess with her.
Dude, every time I see shoulder pads, I think of the Road Warriors.
Oh yeah. Oh, her eyes
Yeah, man.
glow. Okay, I see. Okay, I see
Yeah,
what you're talking about. This is when the thought when the thoughts, and this is when she's learning about the radiation.
Yeah, exactly. And then you see like the kind of the beings you see those beings that are kind of like shadow figures,
Yeah.
which I have a feeling those beings are going to be a little bit more important when the show comes on because I feel like they're going to probably derive off that storyline of, what happened to the you know, to the eight that stayed on the planet and the seven that left. You kind of have, room to pull um, characters from just those ones that are already there
This is
that we don't even
literally
know about yet.
this is literally Superman 1 and Superman 2 in the making.
Exactly, man. And then we actually see the first villain that Naomi comes up to fight with, which is his name is Zumbadu, I think is how you say it.
Mhm.
Yeah. So we come to find out that her mother was actually a teacher, and her father was a gaming software engineer in issue 5 as well. Um, and the important what makes Naomi important is that we learn in this issue that since the crisis, the gifted were no longer able to procreate uh, with other gifted people or normal
Mhm.
people until Naomi was born. She was the firstborn, peer of the crisis. So
Whoa. That's actually a really kind of cool little story detail.
yeah, exactly, man. So that's kind of the throwback to Superman too, though, right? Because they stopped natural birth on his planet, and he was a natural born.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So you kind of see that in the movie too, where they only like they stopped natural birth, and that's why there's hunting after him because he's a natural born Kryptonian.
Oh,
So
see, I actually never knew that detail about Superman. I just figured he there was other Kryptonian babies and that he just got lucky by having a scientist as a father who has the resources to shoot him a rocket out.
yeah, man. So that's kind of like super like I think that's why they tie in Superman into Naomi's story because they're so similar, but also they're a little bit different, you know.
Mhm.
Uh, but yeah, and then picking up in issue 6, we're introduced to Akira, which is Naomi's aunt, and she was actually gifted the superpower of intellect. So in that we find out that Akira's the one that created a little black box,
Mhm.
and why she's able to hear her mother in her head when she put on that suit. So you know, and in issue 6, she returns to her home planet, which is an Earth-like planet. It's from like you know, another multiverse, I guess, is what they make it sound like.
Uh-huh.
So she returns to her planet, and she actually fights Zumbado for the first time.
Interesting.
Um,
So I mean, so
yeah,
so besides her transformation, because obviously I haven't been reading the text, I've just been showing off people the comic book art, which I think is really great. What do we have
yeah.
do we have an understanding of like what her powers are?
So we don't really kind of she the first time she uses her powers are actually in
Issue 6.
yeah, issue 6, where she's in a fight with Zumbado. So in her whole series, we kind of don't even find out what her true powers are. Um, which is kind of amazing. So that's why I'm saying this. Like, it's the
They could,
character's so new, and they have so much to pull from where they can go either direction in the CW.
yeah, dude, this is crazy because I'm like watching this and I'm thinking to myself, okay, like, are we gonna get like Starfire kind of powers where she has lasers, or is she gonna be like almost like Green Lantern esque where she can like manipulate things with like her energy, or is she gonna be just like a brute fighter where she just has pure strength and she can do like other things?
No, I think in other titles that she appears in, they kind of go more a little bit. They reveal a little bit more of her power set, and it's kind of like an energy signature that she has inside of her. So I haven't read all the Young Justice books that she's in, but I know that in there they kind of show, a little bit more of her power set. Because issue 6 kind of ends off with her returning to Earth after the fight, and then in the end credits, it solicits like Naomi number 2. So on the last page, it has like a little on the bottom, it says Naomi number 2 coming soon or whatever. But since Naomi number 1, we haven't really heard of a second volume of Naomi coming out, so which is kind of intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
But then after issue, the last issue 6, she appears in Action Comics 1014. So she comes at last panel. She comes in flying. She crashes. Yeah. So then in issue Action Comics 15, which is the very next issue, she seeks out Superman to attempt to understand and find out, a little bit more about her powers, and she kind of begins to tap into those powers that she does have.
Okay.
Yeah. So I didn't get a chance to read all through that, but I know like if we look into it a little bit more, if we get a little bit more time, I'm pretty sure you find out a little bit later issues, exactly what, or get a more of a clear understanding of what her power set is. So
Yeah, I actually might read this. I actually might read this tomorrow. This actually seems really badass. Honestly, like what I love about it is I love that like they're doing all these new diverse characters, especially with like everything going
yeah.
on today. Like she just seems like a total badass. And here's her clapping to use her power. Oh, he's teaching her how to use her abilities.
Which one are you looking at?
Episode or issue 6. It's at the end where Bob is like unleashing power,
Yeah.
and then he tells her to leash from her core.
Right. So yeah, you kind of see that in there. It's like an energy signature that comes from inside of her. So,
Yeah, he says,
which I
"There
think is
you go, bring the thunder."
yeah, yeah.
And then she just
So
rages
let me
on him, said, "You killed my parents," and she just like uppercuts his helmet off.
Yeah, and she uppercuts him and then throws him. It kind of throws him back into that little portal, and she comes back. I think back to Earth, right?
Yeah, she gets slammed down. She can like jump and looks like she's flying pretty fast.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think this is. I think energy. I think it's gonna be a huge thing. Is like the energy causes her to like almost like do almost like a looks like a sprint or like a beam of a flash.
yeah.
This is a terrible
So
description of her
and like,
abilities, but
well, the artwork in it is pretty good. So if you're looking at the artwork and people can see it, like you
yeah,
can kind of have an idea what her power set is. So
I love it. I love like the like a complete energy blast where she like screams never and she uppercuts him.
yeah, I think it's a pretty cool power set, especially if it's something that they decide. If I don't know, I feel like you're gonna have to use a lot of special effects coming with the show, but
So
we'll see what they
have
do
you
with it.
have you seen The Boys on Amazon yet?
Yeah, I really do. I love the boys.
Think of how they did Starlight's power, kind of like the really
Yeah,
flashy,
yeah,
staticky. They might do that. It might not be as like as because it's very like viney, whippy, like very kind of like very natural looking light that's kind of coming off, almost like an extension. I bet you they might do it kind of more either flashy or maybe more staticky.
yeah. I have a feeling, like I said, well, they might go that route where they do it kind of like how Starlight's power was, and we'll see. So, all I really hope is they do it right, and get this thing right. So it just CW. I don't know about their shows sometimes, and I just hope this one is one of the good ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got that first issue sold is selling for like I think $200 and a 9.8.
Oh
Some
wow.
somewhere.
What condition do you
Yeah.
think yours is at?
Ooh, I got I think 6 of them. 3 are cover A, 3 cover B. They're brand new. I never opened it, never read it, so I'm hoping they're 9.8s, but you never know because sometimes you get little spine ticks in them, or you get
Mhm.
a little boxing on the corners, which kind of brings the grade down a little bit.
Like
But
if you're not grabbing it fresh off the press yourself and like bagging it and taking it, walking out with it, then it's like there could be so many damage that like someone else accidentally did when they slide it back into the box.
exactly, man, and that kind of sucks. But it's something that's out of your control, and it's something that it sucks when you get a new book like, and it's kind of messed up a little bit. You're like, oh, man, do I really want to put this in my collection?
Yeah, but I mean like we were talking about last time, like so, it depends on what your it depends on like what you're really kind of aiming for with your collection. Like, are you wanting everything to be in pristine condition, or is it more like a good feeling knowing that you have that issue one?
No, I think for a lot of collectors, some people, some people are big readers, so I mean, obviously they care about the condition, but they open the books up, they read them. Some people just as soon as they get them, they inspect them, they store them if they're good enough. If not, they'll probably sell them or whatnot. You got like a couple different crowds of people, and it just all depends. Some people just want the book for their PC and their personal collection, and they don't really care what kind of condition it is in.
Mm-hmm.
So, but modern books, typically, you want to see them in better condition than not because they're brand new.
Yeah, well, definitely. I mean,
So,
I love when I have like when I get a book. Like I told you, like I like getting the physical books, but I like reading them digitally because uh it just keeps them in better condition.
yeah, man. Let me see. I think I have this book. I have the books in my one of my boxes back here. Let me see. One second.
I gotta get a. You gotta send me a photo of your room fully done so I can post it on the Instagram. Look at your box.
Dude, I will, man. As soon as I got a lot of organizing to do, and you know, as soon as I get it done,
Are you gonna label your boxes
I'll
like
send.
Batman, Naomi?
Exactly. Yeah, that's. Well, I have most of them, so I have most of them labeled. I usually the ones when I label them like Batman, I'll just label it Bruce Wayne. Superman, I'll just label it. I just have it labeled Kal-El.
Mm-hmm.
Red Hood and Outlaws, I have it Jason Todd and the gang.
Yeah,
So I use all their real names on them, so it's a little bit different.
that is actually really funny that you use their secret identity.
Yeah, man. So
Yeah.
it's just a little something a little different.
Yeah, I should have probably like specified in the beginning of this episode if you don't want to know what happens in issues 1 through 6 to Naomi because you want to read it yourself, probably don't start this episode. Same thing with Three Jokers.
Yeah,
If you don't want to,
or you
put
can.
well, we're not like in full detail, like talking about every single line because like I knew kind of what happened in Three Jokers, but when you read it and you just kind of like see the art and the emotion, and between you and me, I started doing, I used, I don't know if this happens with you, but like for me personally, like when I read, I can read things so much better, and I enjoy reading content better when I can put a voice to like the monologue. So I use Kevin Conroy's voice for Batman. I use
Right.
oh, I gotta look up her name. I keep forgetting her name. It's the actress who played. I'll show you right now. It's the actress who played Batgirl. I think it's Tara Strong. She normally plays Batgirl. I'm gonna look it
Yeah,
up. Oh, dude,
these
those
are the
look.
cover Bs.
Oh my god, I love that.
Those are the cover Bs that I have, and then these are the first print of the cover As. So
Love that.
I got them right when it came out because when Brian Michael Bendis came over to DC, he was kind of a big thing because Into the Spider-Verse was just coming out and Miles Morales was such a big character. So I kind of figured like whatever he's bringing to DC, I kind of had a feeling like maybe he might put him on like they might shoot him right up to a big screen or a TV show. So I was like, you know what? think I'll pick these up, man. So and
I
right when
was.
it
Go ahead.
right when it came out, it was people bought it out right away. So it was a big thing right when it came out.
Well,
You know, they,
besides the first appearance of a new character, I mean, in this age, the fact that someone is bringing like diversity to a character is like groundbreaking. Like I know that's so weird and so bad to say, but now we're getting into the whole idea of like bringing more diversity to characters, like we were talking about last time, like bringing like African American characters to the light and bringing characters with multiple cultural backgrounds and different upbringings than your normal, farm boy, like how Superman was. And these are like first times we're seeing these kind of characters, so people are of course jumping on the fact to see not just the first appearance of a Naomi, but the first appearance of a cultured different background character.
yeah, and I think they just want to reach a larger demographic, and
Absolutely.
with their stories, and more relatable to a lot of different people. So as long as it's like I said, as long as it keeps saying, as long as the story's good, man, they'll be fine.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter if Batman's black or white or whatever, as long as the story's good.
Dude, I'm
you
I,
know
I'm
I think that,
100% on board for Tim Fox.
yeah, so am I just, I want to see, I want to get into those first issues already, and read you know what the premise of the book will be.
Hmm.
you know if if you're I was, like I said, I read Batman, I think 101 to the last issue, and actually they bring back Tim Fox back into current continuity with Batman 101. So if you didn't know that, like, the first appearance, if you don't have the first appearance, there's a lot of people jumped on that right away, kind of skyrocketing the price overnight as soon as the news came out.
Hmm.
So what do people do when they can't afford the first appearance anymore? They go to, when you bring a character back in a current continuity for the first time since, way back when,
1979.
that, yeah, that book, will shoot up too. So that's kind of what you've seen in the market, when that sort of thing happens. So
That is very
I
true.
thought,
That is actually something I didn't even think about because I normally go to like, I try to jump to first appearance and I just
yeah,
kind of go from
and
there.
that's what a lot of people do. But sometimes if the character is important enough, that book will skyrocket to where it's like, okay, now it's out of my price range. Okay, what's the next best thing?
Hmm.
And then you kind of look towards, the character's first appearance in current continuity,
Right.
or continuity, and that book starts to take off a little bit. But you know, we'll see. We will definitely see, and I'm interested to see what they do with Luke Fox. So being the brother of, the son of Lucius Fox and the brother of Tim Fox, see what they do with Luke Fox, because he was already Batwing, so it just makes sense to bring him into the back into the Bat family again. So
Very true.
yeah, we'll see, man.
So like I was saying, when I read Three Jokers, um, I like using voices that I've already heard because it helped me get it just adds more to the story for me, like more substance when I read comics. So I used Kevin Conroy's Batman as Batman. It
All right,
was Tara Strong for Batgirl. So basically, the Joker, basically three Jokers. Yeah, you said you read issue one.
I did, yeah,
Okay, so I'm just gonna recap a little bit of issue one in a nutshell. Issue one basically brings us to a lot of like good substance where it's basically like it brings in a little different perspective with Batman because like he shows up to Wayne Manor super hurt from doing a night of patrol. And the cool thing I liked about it is that it showed a bunch of scars on him, and each scar shows a different fight from a different villain, which was kind of cool. Like when Bane broke his back, a burn
yeah,
from Riddler, a gunshot from Joker, a stab wound from Joker. But as you end up going, the end up story ends up showing that this story isn't just about Batman, but it also involves Batgirl and Red Hood also. So Red Hood, I wasn't expecting when I was reading this. I was like, oh, cool, Red Hood's in here. So I used,
I think,
huh?
yeah, I think Red Hood's such an integral part of, the Joker and Batman's, relationship, that they couldn't not put Red Hood in Batman the Three Jokers. So
We see a lot more of why he was brought into the story in issue
mm,
two, like why he's so important. I'm actually gonna jump to the show issue one. So obviously the cover is like Joker with a bloody crowbar. So as you go into the
yeah,
issue, you see all this stuff, and all of a sudden you start getting alerts of all these different crimes going on, and most of the different crimes are happening at the same time. um the it shows scars not just from it also doesn't show scars from just Batman. It shows like Batgirl and Red Hood. So it shows how the Joker has affected these three in general. Batman arrives to the scene and finds three different guys that work at Ace Chemicals, all with the Joker toxin. You end up finding out there's another case. They're escorting one of the victims. That's when you get introduced to Red Hood because Red Hood's trying to interrogate him. And then eventually you end up finding out that the stolen chemical that they're looking for was brought to a safe house, and that's where you're introduced to actually first seeing three different Jokers. And the way they're all talking to each other is like there are their own individual Jokers, and they're all styled differently. And then that's when you start learning that there are three different Jokers. There's the comedian, the criminal, and the clown.
Yep.
And each huge effect between Batman, Batgirl, and Red Hood was done theoretically from each different Joker. Criminal was Batman. The comedian was Batgirl, and the clown was Red Hood. So the story
Right.
eventually goes into them finding, and they end up fighting this other villain. I forgot his name. I'm gonna look it up right now. It is the little jester. Acid too.
But what I think is super cool,
Gaggy.
like,
His name is Gaggy.
yeah, no, yeah, Gaggy, like, yeah,
Like
Gaggy.
I saw that, and I just, since I'm trying to do this whole voiceover stuff, I did character voices, so I was like reading them out loud, and I did like a Gaggy voice. I'm like, it's been
Dude,
such a long time, Batman. And I'm
I,
like,
I love,
that's how
dude,
you
those.
say.
Yeah, man, I love when the ending of Gaggy as well. When you see those are gnarly sharks in in that tank, man. I was like, I seen that. I was like, oh my gosh.
Bro, when they walk
And
up
it
and that
artwork
shark
is yeah, and the
is right
artwork is
there,
just so beautiful, man.
I
Yeah, bro.
when that shark popped up, I was like, oh my god, because like each location that they go to is storing some sort of that chemical acid.
Yeah,
So then they do the whole fight scene. You know, everyone's fighting the goons. Uh, Red Hood fights Gaggy. Gaggy gets eaten by the shark.
yeah. That was a short appearance by Gaggy, huh? Poor little
Yeah,
Gaggy.
he got eaten by the shark, and then all of a sudden Joker comes up, and this is the clown, and this is the one that had the most effect on Red Hood, or at least he's the one who tempers his emotions a little bit more. Comes in, um, fights all three of them. He ends up getting beat very easily, of course. And so Batman
Mhm.
says, I'm going to go to another case. You guys make sure he gets to Arkham safe. Ends up tempering more emotions as they're arming him, pissing off Jason Todd, and kind of talking a lot about like, like him getting beaten, why he's wearing the red hood, and it just makes him snap, and he shoots Joker, completely obliterating his head. And
Yeah, I think that took a lot of people by surprise when that scene, came up when you're reading the issue. Like, whoa,
oh,
because
it did to me. I thought Batgirl made it when she threw her batarang. I thought, oh yeah, of course they're gonna shoot him and scare him off a little bit.
yeah. But then when she misses, you can tell she never misses. She's like Poindexter with that battering. So when she misses, you kind of can see like, okay, maybe she kind of wanted this too. Like
Well,
at least that's what I kind of took from it.
I mean, that was like that whole issue. That was like you said, like you literally like read my mind. That was the most impactful part of issue one for me. Was when's the last time you missed Barbara?
Yeah.
And then she just walks away, all pissed off, like screw you, Jason, and then she leaves.
Yeah, because you get the feeling that the sense that deep down inside, like she actually wanted that too.
I mean, come on, they
And
all they all want Joker to die. No one wants him to live freely. The whole code of Batman is that's what keeps me separated from them and me is I have the willpower to not commit that crime.
right. And I really like that scene, the scene where Batman's sitting there and he has all those scars. It reminds me of that Alex. I don't know if you've seen the Alex out Ross art, Batman scars.
Mm-mm.
Um, it kind of reminds me of like a throwback to that or something.
Let's look it up.
Yeah, man, that you can just put Alex Ross, Batman scars, and then
Oh, I have seen this.
as soon as I seen that scene, I was like, ooh, that's pretty sick, man. It reminds me of that, but it gives you know Batman character because you always see him in other books like he's never scarred, he's always looking fine. But if you really think about it, he's out all night, fighting all these different villains, and of course, a character like that is going to have those scars. and it gives him more character. Like to me, when you see him sitting there with all those scars and exactly how he got them.
Well, I mean,
So
people forget that Batman is human.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
of course he's gonna have scars and scar tissue. I mean, think of the joke from like Batman Dark Knight Rises, where he gets a physical, and he goes, "How is it?" And the doctor's like, "You have scar tissue. You have no ligaments between your joints. You have this and that. So no, I don't recommend you going hella skiing this season."
yeah, man.
I mean, like that's the thing. That's the reality. That's why I liked about like Christopher Nolan's Batman is that it was a realistic Batman. So by Dark Knight Rises, it's 8 years after after the second Batman. So it's been about 9-10 years he's been Batman. He's he needs like a crutch almost on his right leg to help him kick, and he can't really jump off rooftops and land because it hurts too much. That's what happens as a human. Like the fact that the comic book version of Batman can go for so long is remarkable, and that's what makes him such a unique character. So going into issue 2, I think I for a while I was thinking that issue 2 is my favorite
Right.
because it dives more into a little bit more about like the Joker, like kind of almost going into what their reasoning is. Um, and the whole Jason Todd scene to me was gnarly.
Hmm.
So we start with Joker like coming home and having like a home cooked meal from like a wife and kid, right?
Right.
And then you end up finding out that it's not him. It's him eating like canned tuna, while the main Joker, because out of all the Jokers, they've all decided the criminal is the one who wants it. And you end up finding out that their main plot for this whole for the first half of the story is that they want a better Joker. They're obsessed with the fact that they're not Batman's entire world.
Yeah, and I think that's what Jeff Johns he wanted to make a point. Like, hey, I'm Batman's ultimate enemy. So I
It's
thought that was a good.
it's not even ultimate enemy. It's and hold that thought that he's not the ultimate enemy. That's not what he's trying to go for, because we'll end up finding out in issue 3 what he actually really wants. So they end up doing
Right.
they end up doing this whole banter of basically they're saying we need to get them, like, we gotta get everyone all focused. You go back to finding out that the Joker is dead, or one of the Jokers. But that's the thing, you don't know if this is the real Joker or not. You're still trying to figure out which. So
Right.
then they end up going to the second scene. They end up finding out that the judge was beaten to death, and is beaten to death. And you need to find out that he was a bad judge. He took bribes and he moved people around in the Arkham system to have them be able to escape easier. But they leave, and Batgirl's like, "Why are we going to Blackgate? We should be finding Jason. Jason's out there. He can kill another Joker. We need to put him over. Like, why aren't you doing anything?" And Bruce reveals that he's not doing anything because if we take Jason and we put him on trial, you'll have to unmask yourself to be the defendant, ultimately revealing all our identities.
Ooh, it's a good
And
little prep.
so he's just like, like, we need to focus on something more. And then he ends up finding out that something he didn't tell the cops, he found fingerprints on the murder weapon. And the fingerprints were Joe Chill. When I read that, I was like, what?
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know who Joe Chill is, he's the person that killed, Martha and Thomas Wayne.
Yeah. You have a flashback sequence in first issue of,
Yeah,
of his parents getting shot.
it's they always have to bring that up in like a Batman story. How many times have you seen it where they bring up, you know, the origin of Batman? But it's also super important to the character and who he is.
Yeah, it really, and like the reason why they bring it up again is because the last issue takes everything, all emotional thing they set up, they just take it all and they just make it into just one amazing elaborate plan that the Joker did. That was like, I was like, this guy went to the fucking ends of the earth, and that just shows how he's compulsive and how he's obsessed with Batman, and that's like a really good way of showing like their relationship. So he ends up going in, finding out Joe's not in his cell, and while exploring his cell, he ends up finding that Joe has all these letters, and all the letters are written to Bruce Wayne. And then you end up finding out that he had stage 4 cancer, and kind of elaborates him as like, you got Batman who's been doing everything in his life to to prevent what happened to his parents, and he's finally face to face with his killer, or the killer of his parents, and the guy's just an old, withered man who's been trying to like fix himself, and you see, and it kind of gets Batman a little bit. And then we jump to Red Hood being at a new location that he beat Batman to. Batman's not there yet. He ends up finding another location filled with chemical with more people all turning into Joker. And that's when you kind of start thinking like, okay, why are all these people being targeted?
Right.
He makes a call to Barbara, sends out his location, and then that's when he starts getting jumped by the last 2 Jokers. And this last scene is probably one of the reasons why I think this one is probably one of my favorite issues out of the 3. Why maybe it might be my favorite, I haven't fully decided yet. But they just like bring up the fact of like their whole plan, and is to find a better Joker. And the line that Joker says I love is that, here's a little secret about me: it always hurts when I laugh.
Ooh.
It hurts when I laugh. And that was like, what the fuck? And
But
then
it only makes sense though, man.
and then he basically says, and Jason, I know it makes you hurt when you laugh. And then that's when the comedian Joker starts really tugging in on his strings, saying like, like we left you brain damage and permanent and never, a nerve brain, physical and emotional trauma so severe that the only relief you ever find is when you inflict pain on others. You and me, boy, were more alike than you care to admit. And he was saying like, like you nearly died and you blame Batman and you hate him for it. And Red Hood goes, I hate a lot of people. And then Joker whispers, but you hate him most of all. Batman needs a better Joker. Put it simply, you're just not bright enough. And that's when you find out that they did this because they're trying to put him on the path to become the Joker, because they want him to hate Batman so much that that's like the compulsive they need for another Joker.
Right.
And then the last line on this page I love is, does it hurt when you laugh? And then they start beating him more and more. Batgirl comes charging
Yeah, and it's
in.
kind of like
Go ahead.
yeah, and it's kind of like a throwback to the original, Death in the Family, when, you know, the Joker ends up, bashing him over the head with the crowbar and blowing him up, and then he gets resurrected to the Lazarus pits, comes back, and he takes on the moniker of Red Hood.
Yes.
So
They keep asking him, like, why did you do Red Hood? And he said, it's a joke. That's what he tells the Jokers. I'm Red Hood because it's a joke. So then Batman and Barbara come in. They fight all the Joker like little zombies, and they end up finding Jason Todd. They calm him down. They bring him to Barbara's apartment. He ends up finding out that like, she tells him, like, I keep these mementos of like my wheelchair and my physical therapy books because it reminds me to be strong. And then he kisses her. And that was I thought that was kind of interesting, because it's like, what Robin hasn't tried to have a thing with Barbara? Maybe not Tim. Tim probably hasn't, but I mean, Jason Todd, Dick, I mean, arguably even Batman himself a couple times in a couple different stories has had romantic relationships with Batgirl.
Of course.
I mean, when you're that close, I guess it would kind of happen. And then issue 2 wraps up with basically Joker capturing Joe Chill with a camera that says, why did you really kill Thomas and Martha Wayne?
Ooh.
And the issue ends.
It seems like they kind of provide so many different layers when Jeff Johns is telling the story, into the actual story. If you really look into it, he pulls throwbacks from past stories and builds on those throwbacks and puts them into his story, which I think is really cool, and it kind of provides like a bunch of different layers to that one story.
Right. I mean, already, like in the first two issues already, we're like hitting like it's like each issue is adding more and more and more layer of just like depth. I mean, like the first, it's like reliving Joe, and then Joe is a part of this plan, and that you end up finding out there are three Jokers, and like their plan, and like all the complications, all the complicated emotions that we had to go through with killing Joke, and then the return of the Red Hood, and
Right.
just like it's just like reopening old wounds and making people face like old like issues that have been like plaguing them, and just seeing how every character reacts. It's just like as a Batman fan, it's like beautifully done because you're like revisiting those like issues and those moments and shows and movies that you've seen. And you're like, wow. And then we go into issue three. In issue three, we end up realizing there's two Jokers left out of the three. But then it starts showing that all these different attempts to make different Jokers. Batman has a table full of evidence, and on the page I love because they're a little ripped. There's the criminal, the comedian, there's the actor, the fisherman, the dentist, the felon, the pointer, the zookeeper, the judge. And it's showing all these different people that they're trying to see who can survive the Joker turning process to try to make a better Joker.
Nice.
And then you go through a bunch of things where they kind of all fight. Basically, Batman goes, let's just start off. Let's restart what we already agreed to. We're just specifically here to solve this case and nothing more. We won't deal with any more emotional drama because, you know, Red Hood has a bit of a drama fit about why don't you shoot him in the head, which is like Red Hood's like big thing whenever he talks to Batman. He gets emotional. You know, like, why won't you kill him? Like, I'm doing what you can't do.
Yeah. And the funny thing about that is that's kind of what the premise on the current Batman run is right now too, with new character named Ghostmaker coming in with kind of that same premise. I'm gonna do what you can't do.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
you know,
that's. I mean, we get a lot of vigilantes,
yeah,
vigilantes. Wow, who come in with the same mindset as Batman. As I'm gonna clean the streets. I'm gonna make the city purge of evil. I'm gonna purge the city of evil. But like they're willing to fully erase evil. Where Batman just, I mean, you can argue that he temporarily just kind of pauses crime and evil. He doesn't really, you know, he tries to use fear.
yeah,
But this issue, he ends up going to the prison's reverend and asks him basically about like why was Joe writing these letters to Bruce Wayne. He basically says Joe's trying to understand the darkness about himself, and Joe's trying to figure out, you know, how to wordly say he's sorry for what he did. As they're all talking, the final scene is getting set up. He ends up finding an envelope with his name, Batman, on it, with 2 tickets to the theater that he saw with his parents when he saw Zero that night. So it's taking him back to the scene of the crime. This is why I'm just getting sucked into this 3-page series or 3-issue series, is because it's like they are bringing you back to the scene of the crime.
right.
They all go in. A movie's playing, and it's Joker interrogating Joe Chill. Why'd you kill Martha and Thomas Wayne? Batman ends up finding the criminal Joker waiting for him in the docks or the rafts with Joe Chill, and Batman is confronting him. I know your plan, you know, and you know Joker's like, I need to make a better Joker, and that's when Batman goes like, you think Joe Chill, who's an ill man, would be perfect Joker? And that's when Joker says, you know, we'll have to swap physical health for mental health, and threatens to blow everyone up if Batman comes rushing after him. Batgirl and Red Hood are fighting their own set of Jokers. And then in the meantime, during the entire events, you can hear Joker and Joe Chill's conversation. So Batman is trying to deal with the situation while hearing why Joe Chill killed his parents.
Right.
And basically he's saying, you know, I did it because I was jealous of the wealth that they had, and I thought people like me were created because of people like them.
And that's kind of like Jeff Johns sets the story up so well, man. Where it's like Batman's fighting, and then in the background you can hear, it's just like, whoa, man.
Like,
You,
bro, like I'm reading Joe Chill's like comments. It's like I figured there were people like me because people of like them, I was angry, bitter, lost. It's like I can't imagine hearing the killer, the my literally my reasoning of being Batman verbally saying why he killed my parents.
exactly, man. And that's kind of like mind blowing, bro. It's like, again, just going back to Jeff Johns and his writing style and how he, creates a story and creates a scene and creates an emotion just in the storytelling. So,
And then Batman, of course, does what Batman does, is able to save Joe and beat the criminal Joker at the same time, causing a huge explosion. The comedian Joker gets his face smashed in by a camera from Batgirl. Yeah, Batman beats Joker, and then Batman is literally standing face to face with Joe, and Joe saying, "I know who you are. They talk about you in Blackgate. You know what I did here. Are you gonna kill me?" And Batman just says, "No." And Joe's, "I deserve it. I'm truly sorry." And then right as he said he's truly sorry, a wall of bricks start to fall to collapse on him. And right before they collapse, Batman pulls him out of the way and saves his life. And Joe says, "Thank you." And Batman goes, "You're welcome."
can't imagine, man. No.
He had a chance to just naturally let the killer of his parents die, and he still chose to save him.
And that's what makes Batman the character that he is, and why so
I,
many people love that kind of character.
I,
It's like,
I'm literally reading this, Marcus. Like I'm reading this like a couple hours ago, and I'm just like, oh my god, like what? Just the emotion. I was just like, that is so. That's like full circle.
I mean, you can't not be like emotional when you got that, your favorite character and the story's so good. It just brings out an emotion, and you just like a good film would, like, for me, like how the Dark Knight brought out the emotion, and the love for the character even more. When I seen that movie, when you read a story like this, it just brings out that emotion and brings out that love for that character. What makes it so good.
So then, and then trust me, there's a little bit more left in this story, and you think, wow, Batman's come to terms with the killer of his mother's parents, or of his parents, sorry, and you're thinking to yourself like, wow, like how more can this story dive? Oh, it gets more. Criminal Joker pops up and says, "God, it hurts to laugh," and then he gets shot in the head, and immediately you're thinking Red Hood, and it's not. It's the comedian Joker, the last standing of the three. He says, "Take me in, bats," and I want to get off this crazy ride. Everything is all done. Everyone is kind of kind of calming down. Red Hood's trying to talk to Barbara about their kiss and all that stuff. Uh, and it goes to Batman and Joker sitting, and I love these kind of scenes in movies and in comics because when it's just them two and like Joker's apprehended and Batman, that's when they really open up, and that's when they have some of their deepest conversations about like why are you doing, like Batman's trying to reach Joker, not on like a intimidating, but he's genuinely being like, why are you doing this? So,
Right.
so he says, they're sitting there and they're staring, and the Joker just says, "So see now, after all that drama, don't you feel better, Bruce?" And he says, he goes, "Bruce Wayne, Barbara Gordon, Jason Todd, I know, I know, and I don't care, and I won't tell." And the reason why he won't tell is because if everyone knows who they are, that means that Batman can't come out and play
Yeah. So Joker, it's like there's no meaning to who Joker really is.
without Batman.
Yeah, there's no exactly. Without Batman, there's no Joker. So Joker's like, well, I can't do that because if I do that, Who else? Who else
Mm-hmm.
am I gonna play with? You know,
And
there's nobody else
and
out there for Joker.
exactly. And so the Batman goes, so you created the other two, and basically Joker goes, I don't know if he created me or if I created him, but I was sick and tired of both of them. One wanted something else, one wanted the other thing. And Batman finally goes, what's the punchline here, Joker? And in Joker, in full seriousness, says, not until I decide to put my hand on the knife in your heart. The criminal is wrong. I am chaos. I am the devil. I am nothing. I am nothing to you and everything. And this isn't a joke. It isn't the Joker that is broken. It was the Batman.
Oof.
So basically, Joker set up this whole thing for Batman to come to terms with Joe Chill. So then Joker could be his only reason of pain.
Wow. So it's kind of like you see in the first issue, you see Batman with all the scars, but then you really dive into the story and you kind of have that feeling of, okay, now where he has an emotional scar which carry more weight, and with that emotional scar like kind of healed, now Joker can finally be who he wants to be, the focal point of Batman's life,
Mm-hmm. He
which is
says, Joker says, you saved the man who killed Thomas and Martha Wayne, who sent Gotham and you spiraling into the drain of despair. You saw the old, regretful, sad sack chills become. You felt his pain, and it gave relief to yours. I healed your greatest wound, so now I can be your greatest pain. And he basically just says, I'll keep twisting that knife until the day we both die together. And that is the end with Joker. And then,
dude,
and
that
then, oh, dude, well, we're not done yet.
oh go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead.
and that's the thing, man. And that's why this issue is so fucking good. It's closing all the chapters that it sets up. So it closes everything out. It closes three Jokers. And then it shows that Bruce Wayne shows up to Joe Chill, and he's there the moment he dies holding his hand.
Oof.
And puts him, and I'm guessing Wayne, uh, the Wayne Cemetery, I'm guessing, because he's standing looking over a gravestone called Joseph Chill. And then it says somewhere in Alaska. I'm not gonna go too much into the Red Hood part. Basically, Red Hood leaves a note saying if you basically I will stop being Red Hood. I will become, if anything, just Jason to make sure you're happy and loved. If we become together, if you agree, let me know. If you don't agree, just throw this note away. The note falls off the door and gets thrown away by janitor. So Barbara actually never reads the note that Jason Todd opens his heart for her.
Oh man, pulls on the little heartstrings, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then at the very end, uh, where is it at? At the end, Alfred basically says, I wonder if I'll ever figure out who he really is. And Batman's all serious. And Batman says, not to sound like people think I do, Alfred, but I am Batman. I knew the Joker's name after 1 week after we first met.
That's kind of like what I don't understand, because if you go back um, to originally when we found out there were three Jokers.
He asked what was Joker's name, and then that's when he found out that there was three.
Yeah, so in Justice League number 50, the Dark Side War story,
Mm-hmm.
you see Batman sitting in the Mobius chair and
He gets
ask who the
asked,
Joker is. Why would you ask who the Joker is if you already knew, who he was? Is it Batman just testing the Mobius chair to see if, it it's accurate or something? Like, I don't know. It's just
maybe.
confusing.
Batman does weird stuff like that, where you're like, why would you do that? And it's like a plot to a bigger plan. But the biggest reason, like how they end up like justifying this, is that he figured out who the Joker was 1 week after we met. Alfred's shocked, and then this is when you end up finding out Joker's origin, which is like the same thing from Killing Joke. He's a failed comedian, right? Can't pay the bills or whatever. Basically, the police put Joker's wife and kid into Secret Service, and they tell Joker that they died in an electrical short, but they actually didn't die. They're
They're
alive.
like,
They're alive, and they're in hidden custody or like hidden in Alaska. And Batman knows, and he shows himself driving up and looking in the window and seeing Joker's wife and Joker's son being happy, having dinner. And he basically says, because if the world knows it's his family, they will never be left alone. The press will find them. The Joker will find them. So yes, I know his name, but the Joker's name isn't what's important. It never has been. And then it completely ends. Boom.
Wow. They leave on that little twist right there, huh?
So everything from Killing Joke and from Three Jokers, basically, you don't know his name, but you know that he was a failed comedian, and he does have a son and a wife.
Right. And from what I'm hearing, there's talks of the Three Jokers Part Two. Um, so we'll
I mean,
see if that actually comes about. But the first Three Jokers was 4 years in the making because this was first teased in 2016. You know, that was when the Justice League number 50 came out, when there was the first mention of the Three Jokers. So that story took 4 years to come out. And if there is a, you know, Three Jokers Part Two, who knows how long that's gonna take? But
yeah.
um,
I mean, how would you even
take my
feel?
money if there is.
I mean, reading the issue, it's like they closed it. Like it's like Joker seems like he's done with three Jokers. Like, is there a fourth Joker that we didn't know about that maybe survived the turning process and became a Joker?
I don't know, and that's kind of like, that's kind of like where I'm like, whoa, well, if you're gonna come out with, Three Jokers Part Two, you know, of course I'm gonna buy it and see what it's about, but there's might be some more story that he wants to tell.
Yeah,
So
I don't know, but that was literally that was just a great read. I like told like three of my comic friends already, like you gotta read Three Jokers if you haven't yet. It was just so good.
yeah, man, and the artwork in that is aside from the story being so good, the artwork is really, really good in that. You can tell like each stroke of that art was there was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in that thing, man.
Yeah. Oh, it was great. But so that's my recommendation for this week is Three Jokers. I know it's kind of a little probably people listening to this are probably like, yeah, man, I've read Three Jokers. And by the time this comes out, people are probably have already read Three Jokers.
Yeah, but some people, obviously you get different opinions and different takes, and this is just our take on it. So your
Yeah.
take on it,
I
but
thought, like I said, I thought it was a great read. It literally hits all the Batman heartstrings. It has some of my favorite Batman characters.
dude, and yeah, I was looking at the artwork in that in the story, and I was like, man, I want to buy some of that artwork. So I collect original art, so.
Yeah. Oh,
But
I
Jason is, man, I mean, his artwork is super expensive, but it's
mhm.
super good though, man.
Yeah, I already want to start putting money aside to start buying the issue one variant covers. Like I know it's gonna cost me hundreds of dollars to get them, but they're just that those covers are just really really good.
Yeah, man, all the different. So you got like,
Because each issue
you
is one of the three Jokers, and then it's the different varieties of those that same Joker. So it's like the I think it's clown first, criminal, then comedian.
yeah. So which one?
That's issue one.
There's one.
That's the
Yeah,
clown.
and this is the one. This is the 1 in 100
Hmm.
variant,
That's so
and
awesome.
then yeah, man. I think I got the 1 in 25 variant.
Yeah, I gotta see. I gotta start looking for those and start buying those. Well, probably not now. I'll have to wait until I start making
Yeah,
money
man.
again after COVID.
When I seen this one, I was like, "Ooh, this one's dope, man!" Like the
Ooh.
green color on that.
Oh god, I want it so bad.
So I know I want to put it in a black light and see what it does.
It turns purple.
Yeah, man. But
So yes,
man,
that
I got
was.
a
Huh?
I got a few of them. I got a few of these issue 1 in 100s.
When I got
So
money, when you're ready to sell.
yeah, man. I don't know if like I said, I don't really sell a lot of my collection. I'm just more I don't know. I like feel like when I get old enough to retire, I'm just gonna go through and read all these
Yeah.
stories,
Oh,
man.
I like I would buy, like I said, like I want to buy them because I want to display them. So when people come into my house and they come to my man cave slash bat cave, they'll be like, "What the?" I'm like, "Yep, that is my complete Joker." Like I mean, like I want to get more Joker collectibles. Like when it comes to collectibles, I love, like I was telling last time, the animated Joker from the animated series. I love Mark Hamill's Joker to collect, but like I would love to have more Joker statues and more Joker comics like on the
Yeah.
wall.
I love the way Bruce Timm draws the Joker. He's the one that draws the animated Joker,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been trying to get a sketch from him forever, man. Every time I see him at San
Yeah.
Diego Comic-Con, it's just like he's so in demand with, sketches and signatures that it's super hard to get a sketch from him. So he's on my like little bucket list that I want to get a sketch from. But
Yeah.
speaking of Red Hood and the Joker, check this out. Hold on one second. Let me find it real quick. Let me find it really quick.
Well,
Oh,
while we're letting Marcus find that, make sure if you're still listening to like, share, and subscribe on our YouTube video. Also, check us out on Instagram and Twitter. Instagram is Beyond the Cowl, and Twitter is Beyond Cowl. No the, just Beyond Cowl.
yeah.
What you got there?
Yeah. You ready?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw a little
I
bit of
got
it
this
already, but go for it. Ooh,
I got this piece done a little while back.
look at that. Is that the reflection
Let
in
me
his
take try
helmet?
Yeah,
That
you see
is,
it?
yeah, that's so dope. Oh, that's super cool. I love that.
It's hard to see the detail in this camera, but dude, it's super like if you really look into it, bro.
I love it.
Remember I came up with this idea and I was like, dude, I seen this artist. This guy's name is Jimbo
Mhm.
Salgado. Um, I loved his style, so I was like, I had this idea. So I just kind of like, hey man, like I really like your style. I think you could do a great piece. This is my idea, and this is what he popped out, man. And I was like, dude, super,
Wait, so this was your idea?
yeah,
Oh my god, dude, that is literally like a one in a lifetime piece. Like that's your image. But oh my god, it's dope. I'm like getting like collector like boner over here. I'm like, wait, what?
dude, man. And then yeah, like the detail that he got into the helmet with the reflection, I was like super, super happy with because the from me giving him that idea to him actually putting it pen to paper and coming through with that idea, I was like super, super happy with it and the level of detail that's in it.
That's super
And
dope.
dude, you really have to see it. Like if you really like really look at the artwork in
Hmm.
person, it's beautiful, man.
That's awesome. Oh yeah, you have to take a picture of it, like get a good picture and send it to me, and I'll post that on the Instagram too.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, man. I'll send you a picture.
That's dope. Well, this was a good little test of us doing an episode based on doing almost like a review of like a series that we're picking, and we review it and see.
Yeah,
So if you guys are listening, you guys made it this far, let us know. Let us know if you like us reading comics and talking about what happens in each issue. If you guys want to hear us talk about something different or hear a little differently, let us know. Give us some feedback. We're still in the early baby stages. Um, but I like this. I like hearing about Naomi's adventure.
yeah, man. So yeah, I think it's super important, super relative, and yeah, if you guys just let us know what you guys liked about it, what you didn't like. Moving forward, like I said, like you said, we're super early in the stage of the podcast, so we want to make adjustments where we can to make it the podcast better, to make it everybody enjoy listening to it a little bit longer. So give us your feedback. Definitely much appreciated.
Yeah. So everyone have a great rest of your week. We'll be back next week for another exciting issue of Beyond the Cow.
Issue number 4 next.
Issue number 4. First appearance of who? We'll know next week.
Yeah, exactly, man.
All right, guys. Take it easy.
Later.